Hi, I'm Luke Sparks, Chief Executive here at Dixons. This episode of our series on our latest thinking, the Trust Trifecta, focuses on the second track of our Big Trifecta, Plan. This track in the Big Trifecta is centred on organisational design, being intentional, planning diligently, and being willing to return to the plan again and again to refine and rework, to create clarity. Think of this as the compass, the highly engineered tool that sits between the paper plans of maps and routes and the three-dimensional world of geographical features. This is a critical piece of kit. For us at Dixons, this is our intentional operating model. As a growing trust at Dixons, we were constantly grappling with our operating model. The thinking from the infamous Netflix Silicon Valley slide deck helped clarify our thinking. Most organisations curtail freedom as they get bigger. Growth increases complexity and shrinks talent density. Process emerges to stop the chaos. No one loves process, but it feels good compared to the pain of chaos. Time to grow up becomes the mantra. A process focus drives more talent out, but brings seductively strong near-term outcomes. Efficiency trumps flexibility. Then the market, the curriculum, the cohort, the accountability measure shifts. This newly highly efficient organisation that is process-led and talent-light is unable to adapt and becomes the third of three bad options. Stay creative by staying small, but have less impact. Avoid rules as you grow and suffer chaos. Use process to drive efficient execution, but cripple creativity and flexibility. There is a fourth option, and this is the first track in our second little trifecta. Alignment. As a trust, when we started to grow, we were heading towards chaos. Staff increasingly talked about working for their individual academy. We were starting to sub-optimise. Each school worked for its own success. As a relatively small trust with some exceptional principals, we were securing great educational outcomes, but there was confusion, we had limited turnaround support, and our central systems were inefficient. We realised that we needed to continue to enable autonomy for our teams, but ensure alignment with the organisation. Although we understood why trusts were being seduced by the quick benefits of standardisation and efficiency, we were convinced that, in the longer term, being highly standardised would drive our best people out, stifle innovation and lead us to stagnate. We intentionally opted for the harder journey of aligned autonomy. Alignment through transparency enables increased autonomy. It enables each of us to be a good citizen in the Dixons ecosystem. Out of our operating model of aligned autonomy comes the central principle of agility. By committing to agility rather than leaning into the old tired myths of slow school leadership, we can transform our ability to be highly responsive, to remove blockages and enable our talent to flourish. So Dixons has adopted an agile light approach, applying the general principles without all the tools and protocols of the tech world where agile working was incubated. We try to be brave and work at pace. The cost of being slow is so much higher than the cost of getting the answer exactly right. We rely on expertise rather than rank. We push power down. This demands enough humility to defer to the expertise of others. At Dixons, we have begun to utilise the true potential of cross-functional, cross-cutting teams. This is allowing us to really explore the principle of agility, bringing together people from different departments at different career stages and with different functional roles. We get the right people in the room to make decisions and prevent blockages. Guided by the principles of aligned autonomy with a culture of support from the executive superseding a culture of direction, members of a cross-cutting team focus on what is important in their field of expertise right now. We get the necessary personnel at the table, regardless of position in the organisation. Do all the executive need to be involved in everything, for example? The sharing of decisions with all is key, not the making of decisions by all. We have a long relationship with self-determination. We understand it as central to job satisfaction and happiness. We believe that aligned autonomy is the balance between self-determination and consistency. We have jettisoned traditional performance management and appraisal and now focus on continuous feedback to fuel professional growth. It feeds performance in the future rather than evaluating the past. Our executive directors and executive principals are primarily coaches, able to be agile in their approach. They can be moved to maximise their impact and respond to need. They are both generalist in their skills, but also highly specialised in their domain of expertise, and as such, complement one another, working and communicating as a team. Backbone. At Dixons, our backbone creates the clarity that moves our operating model out of the theoretical space. Firstly, and crucially, we have an operating model. We know what it is, and it is intentional. Aligned autonomy means that there are specific, deeply considered and regularly challenged areas that are shared. We all do them. And they are more than a compliance list. Everything else is autonomous. This means that across our schools, different bits, and sometimes big, important, visible bits, look different. And for us, that is right and important. Our backbone of stable elements evolves slowly, but welcomes challenge. Our backbone governs how decisions get made, how people, budgets and capital get deployed, and how risk gets managed. Elements of the backbone must be as efficient and spare as possible to minimise workload and maximise impact, and also to ensure real space for autonomy. Some backbone elements are almost completely aligned, for example, finance due to necessary controls. Others allow for and flourish with greater autonomy. Our backbone stipulates that our curriculum is formed of an agreed core body of knowledge in the EBAC. This is not fixed and continues to be debated. Powerful knowledge loves challenge. Where possible, we align Key Stage 4 exam specifications, but a department with the confidence of the Trust will always be allowed to innovate. We don't use standard schemes of work, and we don't expect our teachers to teach in a certain way except for some simple routines, because we believe this would stifle innovation and drive our best people out. That said, we do have a cutting-edge bank of resources to support new schools joining our Trust. A component of the backbone one year may be stripped in another because it outlives its usefulness, or because it is time for further innovation and pathfinding. Alignment through transparency enables increased autonomy and facilitates highly astute local decision-making. Transformation. As we begin our ascent to base camp, it is the map that will determine our efficacy and efficiency. For us at Dixons, that is our academy transformation model, our considered approach to how to get better no matter the level of experience or expertise. Arguably, we didn't need this when we were smaller and focused only in Bradford. Much of this knowledge could be held in the experience of individuals, but now the unsaid understanding of what Dixons is needs to be said. It needs to come out of the few heads and be shared with the many. Open source forms part of our glossary of sharing and has proven particularly valuable in growth into Manchester and Liverpool. The growth of open source has coincided, perhaps with hindsight unsurprisingly, with our most challenging period of growth. We needed to codify what we do. The transformation model formalises support deployed and capacity given. It is important that our highest performing schools, who have taken capacity in the past and benefited so much from the Dixons brand, start to give capacity back to repay their debt. This also enables our pathfinding schools to shift focus to national innovation from which we can all benefit. There is local debt, but also sector reverence. The model comes with a huge caveat that it is at best a best fit model. We know that transformation is messy. Critically, it pays scant regard to the Ofsted framework. Our focus is on culture, on what is important to Dixons. If that happens to align to Ofsted, so be it. The 4 phases, stabilise, reinvent, grow and lead, are best seen as a continuum. Our academies are all at a different stage. The aim is to use the model to support each other, to keep getting better, and ultimately to get everyone to the lead phase. In the next episode of this series, I will explain the third track of our Big Trifecta: proceed. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already done so, please do sign up to our open source platform.